It was near the end of the school day, and Sarah's fifth grade class was about to break up when the teacher said, "Now, students, what I want you to do for homework tonight is to create a story that you will share with your classmates tomorrow morning." Well, when Sarah heard this, she said, "Well, I don't know any story." And the teacher said, "I'm sure, Sarah, that you'll figure out and come up with a great story by tomorrow morning." Well, Sarah shook her head and she kind of mumbled a bit, but there was nothing else to do. So when the bell rang and the school day ended, she gathered her books into her bag and she walked out of the classroom and out the door of the school and started to kind of trudge her way home, muttering to herself, "I don't know a story. How am I going to come up with a story by tomorrow morning? Oh, I don't know what I'm going to do." And she just got herself more and more upset and exercised. By the time she got home, she opened the door from the outside and she closed it a little harder than she really meant to. And there was a bang as the door closed, and her mother said, "Oh, Sarah, are you okay?" And Sarah said, "Well, I'm not really." "Well, what's the matter, dear?" "Well, the teacher has asked each of us to create a story and then tell the story tomorrow to the class, and I don't know any stories." Well, her mother said, "Well, you always liked Goldilocks and the Three Bears." "Mom, I'm not going to tell a Goldilocks story to my fifth grade class. They'll just laugh me out of the room." "Well, I'm sure you're going to think up something." Well, with that, Sarah went upstairs to her room and she started doing some of her homework, but she just couldn't get her mind on it because she was trying to think of a story she could tell, and nothing came to mind. Well, by the time, Mom called her down for dinner, Dad was home, and her dad said, "Sarah, you look kind of sad and upset tonight." "Well, Dad, I'm trying to come up with a story, and I have to tell the story tomorrow, but I can't think of a story." "Well, I'm sure, Sarah, that something will come up and you will figure it out." Well, that didn't help Sarah at all. She went upstairs after dinner and watched her 30-minute limit of TV, and then she just kind of stewed. "I don't know what I'm going to do." And she finally got ready for bed. She crawled into bed and she just kind of tossed and turned. "I can't think of a story." Well, it didn't help at all. In the morning, she got up, got dressed, went down for breakfast, had some cereal and some juice, went back upstairs and brushed her teeth and washed her hands and got ready for school, went downstairs and, "Mom, I still can't think of a story. I don't know what I'm going to do." Well, her mom really didn't know what to tell her. And so Sarah, she got her books in her bag and she left the house and she started walking down the street going to school, muttering to herself, "Story, I can't come up with a story." A couple of blocks away, she came to an intersection, had a crosswalk. She had to go across to get to the other side because that's where the school was, a couple of blocks down. And the light was still red when she heard this voice. "Hey, Sarah!" And she looked around. Where did that come from? Sarah, I'm down here." Well, she looked down at her feet and there was a little tiny ant. And the ant was talking to her. She said, "Well, what do you want?" She said, "I need your help, Sarah. My queen ant needs help and you could help us. So come on down here." And Sarah said, "I can't come down there. I'm much bigger than you are." "Oh, never mind that." He said, "Just take your shoes and socks off and then I'll show you where to put your toe right into the anthill." Well, what was Sarah to do? She said, "I'm going to be late for school." "Never mind, I need you now." So she took her shoes and socks off and she put her toe down right on the anthill. Swap! she went down inside the anthill. And she was right in the middle of this long passageway, and there were ants everywhere. And they were talking back and forth and mumbling in ant talk. I mean, she didn't understand ant talk, but obviously they did. So they kind of cleared a path for her, and the other little ant, followed, said, now come this way, come on. And so she followed the ant, and she came around the corner, and there was a big room. And in the middle of the room, sitting on a cushion-like thing, was the queen ant. She knew it was the queen ant because the ant had a tiara and it had queen written on the top of it. Well, hello, Sarah, the queen ant said to her. I'm so glad you could come here because I'm told you could help me. I need to have honey bread because I have to have honey bread before I can make my babies. Well, Sarah said, why? I don't have any honey bread. I have peanut butter. I've got a peanut butter sandwich. Would that work? Rah! Said the queen ant. Oh, that's terrible. I even hate the smell of peanut butter. No, I need honey bread. And then the little ant says, come on, I've got an idea. Follow me. And so finally, Sarah took leave of the queen ant and walked back down that big long hallway. And then the ant says, come on, let's go back up to the top here. And so Sarah got underneath the anthill and whoop, she was up right back on the street again. Now, what happened before she knew it? A bee came around and began to talk to her. Bzz, hello, Sarah. I have got a way for you to get honey and just get on top of me and I'll fly you there. And Sarah said, don't be ridiculous. I am much too big for you. Oh, bzz, no, you won't be. Just put your foot right around and just sit on me. Well, as soon as she moved her foot over on top of the bee lifted her up and they were flying together. The Sarah was riding on the bee and the bee was zzz, and she could see almost the whole town from up in the air. She flew right over the school and she flew with the bee almost into the woods until the bee came to a big beehive. And the bee just brought her right into the hive. And there were bees all over. And they were mumbling and talking in bee talk, which also Sarah didn't understand. But the little bee took her over to the honeycomb and he kind of pulled on one of the waxy parts and the honey poured out into her hand. Ooh, it was beautiful. It was warm and kind of sticky. And so the bee said, now come on. And so she went back to the outside of the hive. She got back on the bee and she took off with the bee again and flew over the town and over the school and back over to the anthill. Well, when she got off of the bee, her little pal, the little ant was there and said, oh, Sarah, that's good. Come on, let's take the honey down inside for the queen ant. And so Sarah, she still had her socks and shoes off, put her toe down, whoop, and she was inside the anthill. And she walked down the hallway. All the ants moved aside to her and buzzed because they knew that she was coming back with a gift to the queen ant. She came around the corner and the queen ant, oh, Sarah, you're back so soon. What, did you bring me honey bread? Well, Sarah said, well, no, but I brought you honey. I have this really nice fresh honey. Well, I have to have bread with the honey. That won't do. Well, Sarah said, there's nothing else I can do. I'm already late for school. I just can't stick around. Well, what else do you have? We said, well, I still have my peanut butter sandwich. I could maybe put the honey on the peanut butter and the bread. Queen, ugh, oh, that sounds terrible. I don't want peanut butter. But Sarah looked at her and says, now wait just a minute. You know, there's a rule, and the rule is no matter what, you have to at least taste it once. Well, the Queen Ant, well, maybe I'll try it. So Sarah said, okay, and so she took out her peanut butter sandwich, took a chunk of it off with the bread and the peanut butter, and she put the honey with it. She rolled it up into a ball, and she came over and she put it right next to the Queen Ant. And the Queen Ant, with at least 4 of her 8 legs, came over and grabbed that little ball and sniffed it and finally said, all right, and put it into her mouth. Wow, she said. Wow, I can't believe how good that tastes. Oh, that's wonderful. I can now have my baby, Sarah. And in honor of what you've done for me, I'm going to name the babies after you. Sarah 1 and Sarah 2 and Sarah 3 and Sarah 4 and Sarah 5. Whoa, Sarah said, where are you going? She said, well, I've got at least 1,000 names to go. Sarah said, no, I can't arrange. I'm late now for school. I've got to go. Well, all right, but thank you very much. And so Sarah turned around, ran down the hall because she was really late for school. And she popped up above under the ground out of the anthill. She put her socks and shoes on, and she started running as fast as she could to the school. It took her a while. She finally got there. There was nobody around. I mean, everybody was in class. And she opened the front door. She racked inside. She ran down the long hallway to her classroom. The door was closed. She ran up. She grabbed the door. She opened it up. And everybody stopped and looked at her. And the teacher said, Sarah, you're late. And everyone else has already told their stories. Are you going to tell your story now? Oh, Sarah said, no, I didn't have time to make up a story. What did you mean you didn't have time? Well, she said, I was still thinking up the story as I was walking to school. And then I stopped at the crosswalk, and before I could cross, there was a little voice that said, Sarah, and I looked down, and it was a little ant. And Sarah, I need your help. And so I said, well, I can't help you. And the ant said, yes, you can. Come with me. And he made me take my shoes and socks off. I put my toe in the anthill. Whop! I was down inside. I went down through the hallway. The ants were mumbling and talking ant talk, and I didn't know ant talk. I didn't know what they were saying. Came around a corner, and there was the Queen Ant, and I knew it was the Queen Ant because she had a tiara, and it read Queen on the top of it, and the Queen Ant said, I need honey bread for my babies. And I said, I don't have honey bread, I have peanut butter sandwich. And she said, no, that won't do. You've got to get me honey. And the little ant says, come on with me. And I followed the ant. We went back up into the anthill. There was a bee outside. The bee said, come on, get on. And I said, I can't do that. You're much too small. I'm too big. No, and I got on, and the bee lifted me up, flew me over, all over the sky, actually all over the school. And we went into a beehive, and I went inside, and the bee gave me honey, put it in my hand. I got back out. I just got on top of the bee, and the bee flew me all the way back to the anthill. I went down into the anthill with the honey, and I said to the Queen Ant, here's the honey. She said, where's the bread? I said, I don't have bread, I just have honey. No, you have to have honey bread, or I can't have my babies. Oh no. I said, how about a peanut butter sandwich with honey? And the Queen said, black, I don't like it. I said, it's a rule. You got to taste at least once. And she finally agreed, and she took it, and she loved it. And then she said, wonderful, now I can have my babies. I'm going to name them all after you. Sarah 1, Sarah 2, Sarah. I said, wait a minute, I'm late. How many of you going to have? She said, over 1,000. I said, I got to get out of here. So I ran right down the hallway, came up to the anthill, got my shoes and socks on, and I ran as fast as I could. I knew I was going to be late. I came into the school. I came to the classroom. Here I am. And that's why I didn't do my story. And the kids in the classroom said, "Sarah, no way!" And Sarah said, "Way!" And the teacher looked at her and said, "Sarah, that's a wonderful story. Why, that's the best story we've heard today." And all of her classmates started clapping and cheering for her. And Sarah looked around and she realized that she had a story. And she had a big smile on her face. And that's Sarah's story.